Thank you, everyone, for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. This is Barry Bryson, and we're still studying the book of Ruth, and we're going to get into the text today. When we introduced this book on day one, we said it was a book of 3 love stories in 4 acts, and we've talked about the 3 love stories. We're going to go through the 4 acts by getting into the text today, and I'm going to read chapter 1, verses 1 through 14, and then we'll talk about this and some background. It came about in the days when the judges governed that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem in Judah went to sojourn in the land of Moab with his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi. And they had 2 sons, who were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. Now they entered the land of Moab and stayed there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. And they took for themselves Moabite women as wives. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they lived there about 10 years. Then both Mahlon and Chilion died, and the woman was bereft of her 2 children and her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return to the land of Moab. For she had heard in the land of Moab that the Lord had visited his people, giving them food. So she departed from the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return, each of you to her mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you. May Yahweh deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and me. May Yahweh grant that you may find rest, each in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, No, we will surely return with you to your people. But Naomi said, Return, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Have I yet sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Return, my daughters. Go, for I am too old to have a husband. And if I have hope, if I should even have a husband tonight and bear sons, would you therefore wait until they were grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, it's harder for me than for you, for the hand of Yahweh has gone forth against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. Well, we'll stop there. Okay, so this is the early days of the judges, but it is during the time when the judges governed, a time when people just did what they wanted to do. It's a dangerous time, which we will find out later on in the text. In God's own promised land, it's a dangerous time, a time when women who don't have protectors are going to be abused, which of course is the way the book of Judges ended, with a massive sinful episode of the gang rape, dismemberment of one woman, and then the mass taking of many other women. But so anyway, that's the background of this happening. Judah is located in the southern part, as we know, of the promised land. Moab would have been southeast. The Moabites are a related people. They're descended from Lot, but they have generally in their history hostility, terrible hostility. We also mentioned that among the Moabites, the main religion was the worship of Chemosh. Chemosh demanded human sacrifice in the form of throwing infants into a bonfire, and that's the way the people worshipped. Some historians and Bible scholars, especially recently, have looked at that word "take," that they took wives, to posit the theory that Orpah and Ruth were kidnapped, that Moabite women would not have openly or wanted to marry Israelite men, foreign men. And yet we do have intermarriage in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, between Moabites and the Israelites. And there's not another word to use. And the fact that they have such a loving relationship with their mother-in-law sends me the message that That just means that they made the deal to take these women as wives. Women did not have the choice of a husband in those days. It's an economic issue. A bride price would have been paid, and an agreement settled. We've read about this in the book of Genesis already, and this is a very old book, even old to its original readers. Things have to be explained to its original readers. And so to try to apply our culture on their culture is just a fool's errand. We can't do that. But these women have a truly loving relationship with Naomi, which tells us what a wonderful woman she was, that good people can be good in bad times, no matter how bad things get. Okay, tomorrow we'll talk about the farewell and talk about Ruth's staying as we continue our study of these 3 love stories in 4 acts. Thank you for joining me for 5 good minutes.